tell you what, it is very nice to get the big applause over right at the beginning. See, that way we don't have any interruptions during the monologue. Oh, yeah. You're very good tonight. Yeah. Really good tonight. Do you really love me, or are you here because Disneyland's on strike? Well, at least you get a chance to see Grumpy and Dopey. It just doesn't seem right that Disneyland would be on strike and they got a picket line, which has got to be a weird sight out there. It just doesn't seem right to get an obscene street gesture from Snow White. Wish upon this. See, they got some problems. Porky the Pig is the chief negotiator at Disneyland. And he was very offended today when the management sent him out to get some ham sandwiches for lunch. And he broke off negotiations, says, but that's all, folks. And quit. So, oh, no, over that. Oh, I didn't know that. You obviously like animal impressions. Is somebody up there with field glasses? Lady's got binoculars. Yeah. Big binoculars. And she also has some, yes. Oh, you... I'll tell you something. You make up for last night. Now, I'm not joking. Oh. Last night was... Have you ever in your life? That was a mean group. I'll tell you, let me tell you. During the monologue, they all began signing a get well card for Charles Manson. Does that give you an idea? I think we had a group of cloistered monks in here or something. They had taken a vow of silence, but you're making up for all that. Anyway, there was an article in the New York Times this week. I don't know whether you saw it or not. They had about things that were in and things that were out. You know, like hula hoops are in. Yeah. And you know one of the things they said is now out? What? It's no longer, I guess, popular? Sushi. Sushi is out. Yeah. And just when I learned to cook it. Now, you folks at home, you should say, didn't I hear that joke before?
Deja vu.
That is right. I did that joke during the monologue last night. It got absolutely nothing. And I said, that's a pretty good joke. I'm going to try it again with live people. I knew that joke. Anyway, how are you, Tom? Doc is up in Las Vegas, I guess, working with Joan Rivers?
Yes, he is.
And Gary Shandling and Tommy Newsom fills in. And I joke about Tom, rightfully so. Tom is kind of a, not negative, kind of down.
Yeah.
He walked into a bar the other day. They canceled the happy hour. How many of you have seen the fascinating picture in the newspapers of a sailor, an English sailor, that apparently was on an expedition in, I think, Alberta, Canada or something, 138 years ago, and they all perished. And the other day, there was an archaeological dig or something, and they dug this guy up, and he looked exactly, I guess, as he did when he was alive. He'd been in the permafrost, 138 years old. And they thawed him out today. And I'm happy to report he already's got a job. He was named poster boy for Mrs. Paul. Frozen for 138 years, he's still got more warmth than Andre Gromyko. If you think of it. I've never seen a picture of Andre Gromyko smiling, have you?
Never.
He's a sourpuss. Anyway, Gromyko met today with Mondale. I guess in case Mondale becomes the president. Gromyko is somewhat of an optimist. Gromyko also met with the Dodgers today to give him a World Series pep talk. Now, Reagan, I guess, tomorrow has a very important meeting with Foreign Minister Gromyko, and to give the president plenty of rest today, his staff scheduled 2 cabinet meetings, so he would be ready. You like that? One person like that joke. There was an article in the New York Times the other day about what's in and what's out. Go back to the sushi joke, but it doesn't work. Anyway, what else is happening today? The Democrats are angry at Reagan. You know why? He keeps quoting. Reagan's a very clever president. He keeps quoting former presidential Democratic presidents. Matter of fact, he has changed Truman's. Reagan has his own version of Harry Truman's famous line. It says, when Reagan says, "The buck passes here." Reagan's like the Mr. Goodwrench of politics, you know? You ever notice, no matter what happens, he never gets soiled. I want to go into a garage. I want to find that guy. You ever seen the commercial for Mr. Goodwrench where the guy's got a little leatherette bow tie and a nice thing that says, Mr. Goodwrench here? Sure. You see, go into some garage and say, "I'd like to see Mr. Goodwrench." Get out of here. Anyway, speaking of politics, Vice President Bush is preparing for the vice presidential debate. And you know what he's doing? He's debating a Geraldine Ferraro look-alike. Absolutely true. And meanwhile, Ferraro is rehearsing with Tommy Newsom. And Reagan is rehearsing with an inflatable Mondale, which is already ahead in the polls of the real Mondale. So, I mean... Little interesting item today. Does the name Ross Perot mean anything to you? H. Ross Perot is, I guess, a billionaire, according to Forbes magazine. He bought a copy, according to the paper today, of the Magna Carta for $1.5 million, originally signed in the year 1215, even though at the time Reagan voted against it. Ron said it weakened our defenses against the Huns. Can you imagine paying $1.5 million for a legal document? I can imagine. Can you imagine that? I sounded like Mr. Rogers. Can you imagine that? I can imagine that. Another little interesting item in the paper. Britain, the British have an agreement with China to give Hong Kong back to China in the year 1997. Yeah, well, why not? To sweeten the deal, the British threw in Princess Margaret and another princess to be named later. Here's some exciting we're covering a little bit of everything tonight. Exciting medical news today. The Mayo Clinic, world-famous Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, they endorsed chicken soup as the best remedy for colds. They said chicken soup is an excellent treatment if you have a cold. Not bad. It should be true. You ever see a chicken with the sniffles? We have an exciting show for you tonight. Miss Farrah Fawcett is here. Mr. Ryan O'Neal is here. One of the jazz great Pete Fountain is here tonight. And later on, Michael Jackson will be out here and tell us that he is going to be donating the money he made during his concert tour to the State Home for Wounded Breakdancers. So thank you for coming, and we'll be back in just a minute. very much. Oh. Hello. Dynamite tonight.
Going through our blue period here tonight.
Dynamite crowd tonight, thank you. Yeah, we're going through, what do we?
Oh, blue, yeah.
We got to check wardrobe before the show. So we can
Coordinate.
color coordinate it here. Anyway, we have Farrah Fawcett will be out shortly. Ryan O'Neal, Pete Fountain is going to play for us tonight. Do you know how many new police shows there are on television this season?
A lot.
Television goes in cycles. I don't think there's one Western on anymore, which you'd call the hour or even half-hour Western that I can think of this year, is there?
A lot of cop shows.
There used to be all Western. You had Gunsmoke, you had Wagon Train, you had Bonanza. The list went on and on and on. And now all of a sudden we're into a cycle of police shows again. Let me tell you the ones that are coming on that are new. You won't believe this. Hawaiian Heat, Miami Vice, Street Hawk, Riptide, Airwolf, Hunter, Cover Up, Jesse, Hot Pursuit, and Partners in Crime are all new detective or cop shows. In other words, there are 23 with the ones that are already on. There are 23 police dramas on television this season. Now, if you listen to these programs, you may be a little confused.
This is called the setup, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe she's got a knife. Anyway, because they use what they call police talk, the certain jargon that police use, but they use it all the time. And, for example, they will never say, they'll say alleged perpetrator. You ever notice?
Yeah.
We caught the alleged perpetrator exiting from the building, and he fled on foot. That means he ran like hell.
Yeah.
So to help you better understand, I always remember Broderick Crawford, Highway Patrol.
Yeah.
Hey, Broderick Crawford, 10-4, right? Everybody knew that 10-4 meant end of transmission. Let's see, what are some of the others they would use?
Assume the position. Maybe I got the wrong show. I got the wrong show.
That's from Dynasty.
I know, I heard it.
I know there's a 10-4, there's a 702, a 50, whatever, all of those things, a certain record. Anyway, we're going to give you some of the actual police jargon and then translate it for you. So when you hear this on TV, you will also know what they're talking about.
End of setup, beginning of bit.
Right? Comedy rule number 1. Tell the audience what you're going to do it, and tell them when you're done. The first part has been taken care of. We told you what we're going to do. Now I'm going to do it. For example, when a policeman says, we've set up a checkpoint and are making selective investigation of individual automobiles.
That means?
We're stopping all the good-looking broads. You see, but you can't come out and say that. When a policeman says, we're on a stakeout, he means we're having lunch on the patio at the Sizzler.
Fly.
There's a fly. Is that a
Mexican? A real fly. Not a Mexican fly.
Could that be one of those fruit flies
No,
that
I
are
don't
on
think
the
so.
loose? We've had Mexican fruit flies, Oriental fruit flies.
I think he's straight.
Russian fruit flies. When a policeman says that the victim succumbed after investigating a common toxic substance found in Burbank, he means the guy ate the meatloaf in the NBC commissary and... When a policeman says you have the right to remain silent, actual translation, you pull a Helen Keller on me, Jack, and it's Rubber Hose City. If you hear a cop says the alleged perpetrator apparently appeared mentally incompetent, he means as the guy said he liked the new fall TV shows. I'm still doing it. I'll tell you when I'm finished. Some people said I think I was over. When a cop says, I spotted a person walking along Hollywood Boulevard who looks suspicious, it means he wasn't wearing a dress. When a policeman says, the victim's death was transportation related, would you have any idea what that means? The person moved to Los Angeles and inhaled. When a policeman says, anything you can say and will be used against you, What he means is you may turn up on next week's bloopers and practical jokes. You ever get a motorcycle, stop by a motorcycle cop?
Yes.
They always say, the subject appeared to be intoxicated. Translation, the clown barfed on my badge. When a policeman says, responding to a domestic disturbance, hundreds are injured. That means Linda Evans and Joan Collins arrived at a party wearing the same dress. Policeman says, I placed a group in custody for unlawful assembly. Means I just arrested the Los Angeles Dodgers. Okay. When a policeman says there's a robbery in progress, means people are buying tickets for the NBC tour. Okay. And when a cop says, the motorist drove the wrong way down a one-way street, jumped the curb, and plowed through the window of a liquor store, means he followed Ed McMahon home. I'm done. Sure, okay.
They turn quickly.
Stroop is going to be arrested for cruelty to a star. Miss Pete Fountain is going to open our show tonight with a great number. Then Farrah Fawcett, Ryan O'Neal, and Pete may come back, and we may come back and do this again. We don't know. Stay where you are. We shall return. Now, it's music time. I don't think anyone plays the clarinet any better than Pete Fountain. He's superb. And when he gets into Dixieland, forget it. Pete's currently appearing at the Dance Pavilion in Reunion Hall at the New Orleans World's Fair, which just moved from New York, went down to New Orleans. And it's going to be open until November the 11th. And he also has his own club called Pete's in the Hilton in New Orleans. Would you welcome Mr. Pete Fountain? fountain. Okay, thank you, Pete.
And he has so much fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
just your normal, average, run-of-the-mill clarinet player.
Yeah.
And average, run-of-the-mill guy. He's going to be back later, and then he'll go to the Telly Savalas reunion later tonight. We'll take a break. Farrah Fawcett will be with us in just a moment. Stay where you are. I would just like to take a couple of seconds here before Farrah comes out to invite you Monday night to watch our 22nd anniversary show, which is on this network, of course. It is on Monday from 9 to 11 in the East and in the West Coast, and I guess 8 to 10 in the Midwest. And we've got some new things to show you this year that we've not used on anniversary shows, about 45 minutes of new things from the past year, and some of the famous things that have happened in the past 22 years. Jimmy Stewart, featuring Jimmy Stewart, Red Skelton, Robin Williams, who is hysterical, Buddy Hackett, who is hysterical, Julio Iglesias, he's a singer. And we're going to repeat our Willie Nelson duet that I did with Julio, All the Girls You Loved Before. Shelley Winters, so we invite you to be with us Monday at 9 o'clock. I think you'll enjoy the show. Now, anyway, you all know Farrah Fawcett. She was one of the biggest stars that television ever produced in a series, and she left Charlie's Angels in a blaze of publicity, and things kind of fluctuated around for a while, and she has now proved herself a really first-rate actress. I saw the picture this morning, and she's starring in a motion picture for television based on a true-life story. Some of you may remember. We'll talk about it. It airs NBC October the 8th at 9 p.m. called The Burning Bed. Would you welcome Farrah Fawcett? Now, first of all, I must say, Miss Fawcett, you didn't look like this in the picture.
No.
We'll get around to that in a second and talk, because it's kind of a serious subject. And I must tell you, I saw it this morning. You sent me a copy. And I sat down and I said, well, maybe I'll just kind of, and I started to play it. And I sat there, and I sat, and I put the second reel on, and I watched it right to the end. I was absolutely enthralled. I was angry.
Good.
I was angry at the thing, although I knew things like that happen. You were remarkable. You were really marvelous.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you.
Were people surprised that people have seen you do something like this? Because it's a heavy piece of work. It calls for a lot of skill, a lot of range of emotions, and you've been known as you came off Charlie's Angels. You know, everybody knows, all glamour girl, and you know the word going around that time. Great career move, right?
That's right.
And you kind of had
Great
little
career.
ups and downs trying to find yourself.
Yeah. I've had a couple of those great career moves, it
Yeah,
seems.
but this now
Right.
really is first rate. You must be very proud.
I am very proud, very proud. It was difficult getting it on.
Yeah.
You know, for about 3 years.
Because
I
of the
tried to
subject
get it
matter?
on. Because of the subject matter, because the network, maybe not this
Oh, I know what you're
network,
saying. All
but felt that
all
who would want to
networks-
see me in a role like this? You
Yeah.
know, a woman being beaten, or anyone, as a matter of fact, being beaten.
Television is growing up a little bit. They've now are addressing subjects like that. You know, Len Goldberg just won his production company for something about Amelia,
Right,
which is about
right.
incest in the family, which is
My old producer. Len
yeah,
Goldberg,
which is
right.
you know is rampant in the country. So you took this on. Did you have any misgivings yourself about it?
Oh, you about the role
From a career
itself?
standpoint, yeah.
No, not at all. I knew immediately when I read the script that it was a piece of good material.
Right.
Which is really what it comes down to, which is what I was looking for. It didn't necessarily have to be something this dramatic. You know, it
Right.
could have been a comedy. But after we got the go-ahead from NBC and we started doing it, I realized the importance of the subject matter. I mean, the ignorance that's rampant in this country on this subject. And I started learning a lot. The more I learned,
Right.
the more committed I came, you know.
Excuse me. Let me explain what it is. Now, this is based on a true story, I think, that happened in about 1977, if I remember.
Exactly, March 9th.
And it was a wife who was married to a wife-beater who lived in constant terror, you know, day in and day out, which many women in this country do. And for whatever the reason, they find it difficult to leave, either financially or they have children or they have no skills to get a job. And so they keep putting up with this madman. And you actually exist from day to day not knowing when the fuse is going to
Right, right.
burn down and ignite, and he batters you constantly. And finally, the lady, in desperation for fear of her children's safety, her own safety, sets fire to the house one night, and the man is killed. And, of course, you go up for murder, and I won't tell them how it comes out. I suppose most people will remember the case. But it's a frightening, aggravating story, because it's like you're in a no-win situation. You're trapped, and you empathize so much for women who probably daily find themselves in that position. And if you try to go get help, it's very difficult, because it's like one of those things, if the police don't see it, they don't know, it's a family squabble, they don't want to get involved.
Their least favorite thing to do is go
That's what I
on a
understand.
domestic
Police do not like to get into
violence
domestic
situation.
quarrels.
No, not at all. I mean, a lot of them get shot. You know, the intensity, the emotional level is so high.
Yeah.
So-
Anyway, I think maybe to kind of illustrate a little bit of this, we have a film clip from The Burning Bed, which we will show you, and then we can come back and talk some more, okay?
Yes, thank you.
The scene is really self-explanatory. Watch.
It's hard to describe how I felt. I was thinking about all the things that had happened to me. How much he hurt me my whole life. And I thought about school. All that work for nothing. Whatever I did, Mickey would knock it down. And then I thought, about my kids and how their lives were as terrible as mine. I thought, take them away. Just leave. And when Mickey wakes up, you and the kids will be gone. When Mickey wakes up, you kids will be gone.
It sounds like a depressing subject, and of course it is. But
Yes,
I really think it's worth watching for people, because it'll call attention to it. And maybe if they know a situation like this, at least they can do something or go get some help. Around the country, they do now have organizations for abused or battered wives. And, you know, if that happens to you in your home, you can check, I guess, with the city, or find out where you can. They have shelters now where
They have shelters,
women can get
yes.
away and get their kids at least safe, you know, from this, because otherwise it goes on and on and on.
When I was researching the role and I went to some of the shelters,
Right.
I was actually devastated. I mean, the condition these women were in, their mental condition, you know, their physical condition. I mean, some of them had no teeth, some of them were deaf because of being hit in the head so many times. And
You know, it has to be awful, is that living day to day with the terror of the unknown.
the fear, when it's going to happen.
Not knowing when it's going to happen.
And also loving the man, wondering at what point in the relationship did I continue to love him and he want to start hitting me and abusing me?
You know what is so strange, that they have found that children who were battered as children often turn out to batter their own children.
Yes.
You would think
Very
it would
high
be
statistics.
You think it would be the opposite, you know, having undergone treatment like that you would turn around and inflict it on your own children. And I suppose it's true that husbands who maybe were abused as children turn out and do the same thing.
Right. I wasn't allowed to go visit the men's centers, but I saw lots of tapes, and several of them talked about watching their father abuse their mother, and kind of were so frustrated. I remember one man said, "So what am I supposed to do when she nags me?" I mean, you know.
The mentality.
The mentality. Yeah. And the therapist said, "Why don't you try nagging back? You know, make it more equal." I mean, they don't even let a heavyweight in the ring with a middleweight, because there's a possibility you could kill someone with your fists. So.
Well, anyway, it's a fine project, and you are
We can go on and on.
You are marvelous in it, and I
Thank you.
really highly recommend it. It's on NBC October the 8th. It's called The Burning Bed, and you ought to be very happy with that.
I am.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back. We have returned, and my next guest. My next guest is Ryan O'Neal. You know him?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
They always put down here charming and talented, which you would certainly know he's charming. He is talented. He's got a new film out, as I understand it's gotten wonderful reviews, called Irreconcilable Differences. And it opens actually tomorrow, nationally, which means all over. Well, not all over. It's in this country, I guess. Would you welcome Ryan O'Neal? Kissing. No kissing the guests. Let me tell you how this booking came about, folks. Rather interesting. You were on the show one time. Farrah's been on the show. I'm out at Malibu one day, and I see you running by, as you do constantly. You run all the way up about 2 miles and 2 miles back. You never stop. You talk with nobody. So I'm standing on the beach, and he says, "Run with me." That's okay. We start running. And I'm not into running. I like to watch people run.
And we're running at a pretty good pace.
The man has a pretty good thing going. He says, "You know, I've got a thing coming out I really kind of like, you know, this called so-and-so, and Farrah's got a new thing coming out, and we're running, and we're running. We're not about another 100 yards. Doesn't sound far, but you're moving pretty good in this mushy sand."
Yeah. We're sprinting, actually.
Yeah, and I'm going, yeah, and I hadn't got a breath, no breath at all. He says, "Love," I says, "You call Freddie." I says, "It sounds pretty good for me. For September 27th, if I'm alive." And he went right on. We never stopped at all. You don't stop for anybody, do you?
I stopped for Farrah.
Well, I can understand that. But I see you constantly, and you just get it in your head and you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I decided to just run until I got a job. So now... And I've logged over 750,000 miles.
They had an article of you on, I suppose you saw it in L.A. Magazine this week.
Oh, what did they say?
Well, some good. Don't you get a little... I got the impression, we don't know each other well, right? I get the impression you think people are always trying to sandbag you to get you to say things or to get you to commit something, and you get a little bit defensive when anyone is interviewing you.
I don't think that's true.
Is there any truth to that? Do you have a little inward hostility toward the press?
Well, let's see what... Well, let's
develops?
go. Let's see what happens.
All right. Now, your career for a while was kind of...
Up there.
And then it was kind of...
Down there.
Lying fallow.
Yeah.
And people always want to go back and question you about those type of things, or a picture that would be in one of the tabloids where it looked like you were ready to eat a photographer or to bash his head in. And they keep bringing that up, and I sense that you would like to talk about other things.
Sure.
Now, when you went after this photographer...
If I could have caught him.
The amazing thing is, I have to just chime in here because
Is he gentle and kind and...
I said simply, I don't want to be photographed. So he's,
The most
you know...
photographed woman in the world said, "Look, Ryan, I think you're wonderful. I'd love to go out to dinner with you, but I'd rather we not be photographed."
Yeah.
And I said, "No problem."
Yeah.
We were talking about this before the show up in the office. I empathize with you. Because when you talk about the press sometime, I think you have to draw a distinction between the L.A. Times and what you call nice credentials in the press and the tabloids, which really are not press. And sometimes you're kind enough to come out and say, "Yeah, take a picture," and then they keep pursuing you. They get you in a position where you're baited. And if you do something like, say, this, like this, the picture will come out like you're half maniacal and ready to kill. So I understand.
Raging Ryan, that was
Yeah.
my turn.
The interesting thing is that they said that the photographer said, Farrah held me down while Ryan strangled me. Something.
Well, this was in one of the $7 million lawsuits. She's only talking about one of the lawsuits now.
I guess that comes... I guess
one of them that I caught.
That comes with the territory, right? Now, you two have been, as they say in old-fashioned terms, keeping company for some time. That's what they used to say in my day. But
Now they say obsessed.
Are you obsessed?
Yeah.
You obsessed with the lady?
I am.
Are you obsessed with him?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good. We have two obsessed people here.
We have one obsessed person.
Yeah.
We have me.
When she was doing the burning bed, was she difficult to live with? I mean, when you're in that kind of a...
Well,
when you're keeping company...
Yeah.
you know, there were some nights that she didn't come home till very late, and there were marks on her body, and I said, "Where you been, and how did you get those?"
No.
And tell me about it.
Yeah. Are you jealous? Now, be honest, very honest. Are you jealous?
Totally.
But that's a wasted emotion, you know.
It is?
Sure.
That's another one.
It's all right. I think women like men to be a certain amount of jealousy. But, you know, unlike the thing that you just did, the husband was obsessed.
You feel standing outside the gate waiting for her is obsessive? With 3 watches on to make sure that we have the time exactly right? No, it was hard for me watching Farrah make the burning bed, yes.
Yeah.
To watch Paul Lamatch slap the hell out of my girl.
Yeah.
Every
It was
single
difficult
day.
for him.
I can
When I
imagine,
would come
seriously.
home at night, he would look at me. It
I
wasn't
I
an
felt
easy
very
time.
sorry for her. She was quite, and she didn't want to talk about it, you know.
I can understand.
Yeah. She said, just cook the dinner.
Make my bed,
Make my
clean
bed.
up,
That's right.
turn on the
That's
dishwasher.
right.
Oh, what a wonderful
Such a
relationship.
man's world. I'm not going to miss
This
it.
obsession thing has got me into a
Yeah, I can
little
tell
bit of
that.
a bind.
We're going to come back and talk about your current project in just a
Oh,
moment, okay?
another
Okay,
obsession.
then we'll start running. Stay where you are. Then we run. If I remember correctly, we're talking with Farrah and mine. If I remember correctly, while we were sprinting up the beach that day, a month or so ago, you told me that this is one of the best things you've ever done, you felt. Irreconcilable differences.
I think so. I mean, I don't forget about Tatum and Paper Moon.
Right.
Of course.
Oh, super.
You know, in case she's watching. But I think Irreconcilable Differences has a lot of the same qualities about relationships and the need for them to be tender.
We're going to show a little piece to you. Does this need any particular setup in the
Well,
body?
it's, I've met a girl. I'm hitchhiking across America to become a teacher in California, and I've met a girl, and I've fallen head over heels in love with her. She has a fiancé, though, a big sailor, and he has found us.
Uh-huh. Okay. Here's a little excerpt from Irreconcilable Differences.
Keep your meter running. Excuse me, ma'am. I'm looking for Lucy Van Patten. She's about yay high. She's got blonde hair.
Oh.
Who's that?
The guy from the coffee shop. I ordered us some breakfast. You know, great sex always makes me hungry, darling.
Lucy!
What's he doing here?
I had to call about his car. I said, great sex makes me hungry right in front of him. He would never even touch me, nothing. I'm supposed to be a virgin.
You are?
Oh, you got to let me sit.
I'll handle this.
Oh, Albert.
Lucy! What's going on in there?
Albert, remember, he's trained to kill.
Lucy!
Bink?
Who are you?
Lots happened since you saw Lucy last.
I asked you who you were, you beat.
Please put me down, Bink. I'm obviously not going to hurt you. I said, put me down.
That's funny. Good move.
Yeah.
Why is it that people, I guess that comes from childhood, you get under the covers,
Yeah.
like it's going to protect you from everything,
Yeah.
like you don't see anything at all.
That's
a
where
funny
we
thing.
started, I think.
All I can remember when I saw that scene is that joke where the fellow was with somebody's girl in the house, and the guy, like about the size of this gorilla, came in, and the guy says, "Where's your back door?" She says, "We don't have one." He says, "Where do you want one?" We're going to take. Are we taking a break, Fred, or are you testing the wind? I can never tell if there's a typhoon coming in or what. Tell.
Well, you know, basically, Irreconcilable Differences isn't a comedy, though. It's about a story of two people who fall in love, and so deeply in love that they have a baby, and then success. They have success, mutual, and things get a little touchy then. I think people in America...
Both of them have their own individual success?
You know, they work together as a team, and it gets in their way after a while, and it causes tremendous conflicts, and...
Somebody
man
once
pretty
said
much
success is
gets
more
it.
difficult to live
It
with.
causes conflicts in comedy.
Somebody
And
said success is more difficult to live with sometimes than failure.
Well, it always has been with me, but I'm quite proud of that.
You're perfectly normal now.
Yes.
Yes, you'll be sitting out in the sun Friday. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Oh, really?
Charming.
Why don't you tell everybody what you're just telling me?
No.
You were telling me.
Well, but Johnny,
Farrah was showing me her beautiful ring. I guess that'd be called a friendship ring, right?
it would be called everything I own in the world. I mortgaged for this ring is what it would be called, you know, as an offering of marriage to
Did you
her.
win big points for this?
I won some points, but I didn't win the game, no. I didn't beat the spread.
Well,
We don't know yet. We don't know what's going to happen.
For 5 years, she keeps saying that
why
to
not?
me.
You have to get to know a girl.
You wouldn't know. I'm sorry.
We'll see you tomorrow. I'm humbled by that applause.